Hello, hello, Rhoda here. Welcome to my craft room. Today we're working on the second part of the cover for the Craftly Haul journal, and I thought I would go over some glues at the same time. I had somebody want me to do a glue review, so this is going to be kind of my version of it, showing you when I use a glue and where and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we're going to look at our sneaky peek, and I had to show you the back side of that envelope. Where was it? This one. So this one had the sending butterfly kisses, the washi, a little pocket here that, of course, I haven't put anything in. I had a little bit more doily up here to kind of combine the two. And then over here, it has the collage paper. And I'm thinking about using some of this either in my Halloween journals or in my specimen journal. It might be the specimen one. Anyhow, I really like this. What I did was I think I had sprayed the outside of the envelope and then I put on this. And I believe I may have also decorated it up with one of these pens, one of these guys. The Distress Crayon. This is Gathered Twigs. That may have been the color that I used. And I kind of just smeared it on in places and then wet my finger and rubbed it around. And that gives you a really smooth appearance. So, I'm trying to straighten up a few things over there. And then, the next part of this page is this over here with this collection of gentlemen. I thought they look like they could be bankers, so I put the National City Bank on there. A little bit of the lace fragments. I didn't have much left of this, so that may have been the last of it. I do have some vellum under here, and then a little strip of paper, just to add interest, you know. And this edge that's around here came off of another piece that I used in another journal, but I love that little kind of graphic design. I didn't have enough for this side, so that side got ripped. There we go. That is a sneak peek. Okay, so what we're looking at here is this is the cover, and if you notice, it's got sort of a sheen to it now. Well, that's because I used matte gel on it, and we're going to use that on another piece, the spine part where I'm going to do the hidden signature. I'm going to use that on here and let you see how I apply it. But this here is the outside, and what I want to do with it, this is going to be a band to go around the front and the side, the open side, and I need to put some what do you want to call it, some score lines in it. And I think the easiest way is to just to eyeball it. And if you notice, I did round these corners. I had to do it with my scissors, and then I added a little ink so it wasn't like a white on there. So we're going to put it about right there. And I'm going to use the line here for where the book bends as my giveaway on where the center score line needs to be. And then, let me see, get my scoreboard up here. And we're going to put that down where you can see it. I didn't think I had the numbers showing the other day where you could see them. But I will usually use this centerpiece as, I need to actually mark it again. It looks like it's about to disappear. So this piece here is going to be the center. But then I'm also going to do it on either side of it. Just like that. And I'm trying to push in there pretty good because I do have a few layers. I can't really see it coming through, but we'll see what happens when we bend it. Oh, that didn't work. I need to push a little harder. Sometimes if it's really thick, you might have to put you a piece of a ruler. It's wiggling there, boy. A ruler here to keep yourself straight. That one wasn't so bad. Okay, maybe I just didn't push hard enough. No. Once I got that track a little wiggly, it stayed that way. All right. Let me get this out of the way. And let's see what we can do here on the bending. Sometimes I'll take my ruler and bend like that. The middle one is the basic one I want to stay with. But I wanted to be able to work it around those corners or whatever else I needed to go with. It's not bending for me too well, but there. Stick your finger in there and push. There we go. That did it. Okay. So with this, when I glued this part down, this little backing piece, I used, which I have had art glitter glue before. One time I got the big bottle of it, and refilled it. But, the only thing I was that thrilled about was the bottle itself. I loved the little tiny, really easy to squish bottle. So I kept it. But I went back to my favorite, which is Bearly Arts glue. And it comes in like a refill bottle like this, a big old bear. And it's a really good glue. It's just like art glitter glue. It may be a little cheaper. I think it is. And it also gives you a little bit more wiggle time. But I love to use it because it's almost instant, because back in the day I was using Elmer's glue, and boy, did I not get anywhere. I had to set books on it because the water content in the Elmer's made everything ripple a lot, because I was doing greeting cards. So anyhow, I went over to the art glitter and didn't like it as much as Bearly Arts, so I went back to Bearly Arts. How about that? Okay, so that's what I used to glue on the back of this, because I wanted it to be instant. I used a little bit of burnishing on it, and then it was done. And then it stays. It's good. So we have our wrap, and if you look at our journal itself, here, you can see that it will wrap just like that. And it's perfect because we measured it for the back. And then that part is almost done. I'm going to go ahead and paint this up for us real quick. And then we'll get to, and I think I wanted to put some brads on something. I think it was the piece is going to be where this slips in. It's going to slip in just like a little tunnel closure like I do. All right. The matte gel. Matte gel, and I always thought it was called matte gel medium, but it's usually used to cover the surface of something like this to protect it, because this was all water-based, distressed paint and a few oxides. So if water fell on it, boom, it's going to bleed. And it did bleed a little bit with the usage of this, but not enough to really make a difference. But then it protects it, because on the back it tells you you mix it with acrylic paint to create a matte finish. You can use it as a seal on dry finished work, which is what I did here. To prevent cracking, apply to dry surface in thin layers until desired thickness is achieved. I just used one layer, and I think that's all I needed. And then you're not supposed to apply it to oil-based surfaces. This is only for like a water-based surface. So it's just a white glue, and so you just rub it on. Get you a big gob of it and rub it on. And this will be the piece that I sew the 3 signatures into. And you will notice here in a minute that I will start to get a transfer of a little bit of brown or red or whatever, because of the water content in the glue against this distress paint. So I'm going to do it just like that. Make sure I get all my edges and surfaces, and then we're done. See, I got a little bit of transfer. You can see a little bit of brown right there. So all I'm going to do now is drop it into my little water bottle or water jar down here. And then I'm going to go in there and rinse it out real good with some nice warm soapy water. All right, this little guy is done. We're going to put him to the side. And you probably won't see me sew it in the signature. I'm sorry. So anyway, then I'm not using fabric tack today. This is usually when you use it on a material or a fabric, cheesecloth, something like that. But you can use it. I've used it to put papers down on my paper bag journals because it is a really quick tack. It's gooey for maybe up to 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's set. You can't move it anymore. It's got a little bit of a smell to it, but other than that, this is like my number 2 glue. It really is. It's number 2. And a lot of times I'll grab it when I have a thick item and I don't think the regular glue is going to hold it. I'll go for the fabric tack. Now, Miss Tommy gave me this poster board adhesive one time when I won her 400 subscriber giveaway. And she said she got it at Dollar Tree. But I don't think they have it anymore. I don't even know if you can get it anymore. But it may be less expensive than this. But this was almost exactly the same glue to me. I don't know if I've got enough left in here to show you. But see, it's a clear adhesive. And it's got the same smell. Everything was the same. So, yeah, that could be used in the same context, but it works on foam board, poster cardboard, and more. So, there you go. That was another different glue. And then this one, if you're on a budget, now, I don't think that's bad if you're on a budget. This is about $7. And depending on how much you glue, it lasts a long time. Now, people kept telling me about the Turbo Tacky glue. And I did get it and use most of it. It's a white glue. And it does do a good job. And I just didn't really like the way it ended. Or not the way it ended, but... Oh gosh, I think it's... But it's white. It's a white glue. Kind of just like Elmer's. But it peels. If you know what I mean when I say it peels, when you use it on something, and then you might get a little bit extra on your fingers or something, you rub your fingers and it kind of comes off. Well, that gives me the impression that it might not be as permanent as I would want it to be, you know. I don't have peeling with the Art Glitter Glue or the Bearly Arts Glue. None of that. Okay, well, the next glue of choice to show you, where is it? Okay, with the book itself, I used Mod Podge. So Mod Podge is another type of glue, and it is a sealer and a finisher. So you can get it in different types, but I could have used that on the top of here, but I didn't want to have that sticky, gooey, tacky feel to it. And I think you do that with Mod Podge. I only like Mod Podge to go inside two surfaces. Like I was putting this, the bag down onto the base, and then I was using it for this paper to go onto the inside. And that's the only places I like it, where I can't see it or touch it, in other words. So that is where I will put that type of glue. Now, then we have this little guy. This is just like an old file folder I had some packages of, so I was wanting to use it up. Well, glue stick. And I usually will use this one. It's a Craft Bond Elmer's Extra Strength. There's better ones out there. So this may not be the one that you would want. But what I usually do with it is I'll put it all over the back side of whatever I'm working with here. And then I will take my Bearly Arts and go around the outside edge, or a few little dots on the inside. to give it extra strength. And that's what I do. But you have to make sure you get that on there and you rub all the edges really, really well and get it all nice and gooed up. I think a lot of people don't put enough on. I think that's what the problem is. But you do still have the tendency for it to come apart, kind of a thing. And so that's why I like to give an outline of a good glue and then use the rest of the inside for the cheaper glue, so you're not wasting all your money. So what I did is I had this extra piece. This was day 12 from the Craftly Haul days, and I had like my little word chip over here, and then I had my my tag or whatever over here. And so I didn't use this. I had quite a few of these that I didn't use. But I like this against this yellowy kind of board, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I glued these two panels in the center really, really well. That's what we're going to cut out. And so let me get my scissors over here, and we're just going to start cutting. And like I said, I used glue stick to glue this thin paper, and that's what, this is best. When you got a thin copy paper weight like this, that is where glue stick works the best. Anything thicker, you're going to need a better glue stick, like that one that everybody talks about. I had it at one time. I wasn't that impressed with it. Maybe I didn't use it on the right thing. Who knows? But anyhow, I just went back to regular glue stick. I haven't been doing any of my glue book lately, which is me making up different pages of all the scraps. I really haven't done that lately. Whoopsie. Oh, I do need to cut this in half because I want two pieces. One for the front and one for the back. I'm hoping these are the same size. I don't think they really look like they are, but it wouldn't really matter. Yeah, they're not. One will be on the front and one will be on the back, so you won't really see a difference. All right, so what I did was I doubled it up because that one thickness of this wasn't very much. And so I put another layer of it on the back of here, but I did want to fancy these up a bit. I am going to round the corners here. So let me go ahead and do that. This is the medium round, which is a 7mm. And we're going to do that. And I don't know, but this may be longer than I need it to be, to tell you the truth. So let me look at that part. I didn't really think about it. It only needs to be like almost one of those. But I think I'll leave it this way because you know what? When I glue it down, I'm going to want to have a nice, good, solid seal of glue on it. I'm trying to get these little pieces out of my way now. So I'm going to probably glue well into this first panel, you know, on either end. So we'll leave it. Then I'm going to ink this up a little bit. Let's see. Maybe I'll wait because I have to glue another piece here on. I want to snazz these up a little bit. So I got out my brads, what I have of them. And the only problem is I only have a few different colored little brads in here. I really love the copper colored ones. I don't have enough. And then these are all silver. These are all like a nickel. Those are all nickel. These, I don't have that much of these either. They have a little bit of copper ones in there as well. So I don't have enough. I guess I'm going to have to go with gold. Now I can drop a little bit of, what is it over there? The foundry wax. I can drop a little foundry wax on these guys. And I'm thinking I would like to have 4 on either end. Okay. And this is a flat. These are flat, whereas everything else is sort of a rounded tip. But why I've got an extra piece of this out is because I'm going to be gluing this on the back side after I put the brad legs through. Okay, while I'm poking these babies, putting them in, I thought I'd tell you a little story about Dad. All right, so in 1951, Dad was about 16 years old, and Miss Howe, I'm busy right now. She wants me to rub her. Oh, so he lived with his uncle Harrison Sammons. That's his mother's brother. Go on, Miss Howe. And they lived on Singer's Lane. And that wasn't very far from where Dad, he was working at Wholesome River Lumber Company. It was him and his brother Harrison, and then one of the Sammons boys was all working there. And it was, like I said, a lumber company. I guess they stocked the wood or something along those lines. I don't think I ever really asked him what he did there. But this place has been there forever, on the corner of Statler Boulevard. Because we have the Statler brothers. This is the town that they were born in. Mom went to school with one of the girls and the wives. And, we had a boulevard named after them. And so when that went in, a lot of the businesses either folded or had to get out of the way from where the boulevard was coming across. But the road used to come in from there and go across to where it was like a concrete plant. And it was kind of neat because like a lot of the family were around there at that point, either living or whatever. My grandma's other sister, Janie, her family lived there at Summerson's Row, they called it. And they had a store, and he had his own house there. And then one of Dad's other brothers, Uncle Fred, he worked for the concrete company there. That was, I guess, right next door to where the lumber company was. And then, did I get all the corners? I think I did. So then, my Uncle Fred, let's see, that's the one that worked there for the concrete company. And he had mashed his middle finger off at one point there. I'm not sure what he was doing or whatever, but that's where he lost his middle finger. And then my Uncle Howard, who was Dad and Uncle Fred's brother, he also worked. I got to figure out how I'm going to fold this. I don't know if I'm going to fold it that way. Yeah, maybe that way. He also worked there, and he actually drove a cement truck for the concrete company that was there. And he later on went in and became his own, went into his own business or something. But it was so cool that everybody was there at that time in their life, kind of all together. Now, Singer's Lane, where Dad was living with his Uncle Harrison, now I have to look that up because I don't remember that part. Because I'm always trying to figure out where he lived and what, everybody was doing and stuff like that. So I have to check that out. You know me, I gotta check it out. All right, I don't know. I think that's okay. And then we're going to do this side. Now, my Aunt Janie, or Great Aunt Janie, like her boys and stuff, they lived there on Summerson's Row. And there was a train that would go through there. And what it was is there was actually another name they called it. Look, I dropped it. Now I can't. Hang on. Found it. All right. So they called this area Pinchtown. And one of my other cousins was telling me that. And he said that it was called that because it was pinched between Richmond Road and the railroad tracks. But the boys, they used to, the train never stopped. There was no stop there. But the boys in Janie's crew, had figured out how to run and catch up to the train, climb up on a coal car, and throw off a whole bunch of coal, and then they'd get back off again. So they got them some free coal. Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Well, that's probably what they did over in West Virginia. But okay. So that's done. I am not so sure that I'm straight on the money on a lot of these. I'm trying to think if it's going to worry me any. Let me see if I can go over just a little bit on that one. See if it helps. I don't even think I moved. Nope, I didn't move it any. Well, I might just leave it as is. Oh, goodness. Where is my poker? Get my little poker in here and go over a little bit more. See if that does it. If not, I'm leaving it. Yeah. I'm always telling you to ask questions and get in there and find things out. And, you know, you hear and find out things that bring a question to mind. And see, I have another one about Dad talking about living with his Uncle Harrison. I know he went and stayed with his sister Delphi a lot of times when he was young. Now, this is when he was really young, and he went up, sometime, I think he may have went up on the Trailways bus, or he may have just caught a ride with somebody that came to town for something. But he would go up there and spend the summer. How was it he phrased it? Something about he was poor. He was poor as a church mouse, meaning he didn't have much on his body but skin and bones. Because, you know, they were eating what they had on the farm. And at that point, I don't think his mother, you know, Grandma Rhoda, had married again. So she was just trying to make do with what she found or what she grew, that sort of thing. He said he was poor as a church mouse, and then he would get up there and his sister would feed him up through the summer, and he would just be full as a tick when he came back to live with Grandma after the summer was over with. But yeah, and I remember Janie. It was Aunt Reen. That's right, Aunt Reen, Dad's sister, had to go. And she had a problem with her little eye. Her eye, she lost it to measles when she was very young. And these Lions Club members were getting together to get her a new eye. And so she went and stayed with her Aunt Janie. That's Grandma's youngest sister that also lived down there at Pinchtown. Well, she went to live with them out at D-Bus Place. Another stop along the way, you know, them moving to Stanton. But anyhow, she lived out there, and Janie had a lot of kids, a lot of boys, a lot of kids. And Aunt Reen said they almost every meal had brown beans and cornbread. That is like, I've been told that's the Markham staple. That is, you're not a Markham if you don't eat it. So I guess I'm not a Markham, because I do not like brown beans. No. So I never got into eating those. But Dad, he'd have them every so often. Uncle Harrison, oh my God, he'd make them all the time. And he had his cornbread he'd make with it. And yeah. Yeah, those kind of things, guys. Those kind of things. All right. So now I am going to use my art glitter. No. Since I've got those metal pieces, see how I've got the metal pieces kind of sticking out? I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make sure they're all flat for one thing. And I'm going to use my art glitter glue to go over and glue this piece to this back. And then I'll kind of sketch it out or cut it out with the scissors. Okay, there we go. Now, Mom was telling me something interesting the other day. And I know I've told you before about her aunt, Aunt Polly, and then her Aunt Nanny. They both got premonitions and things. Now, Aunt Polly, she saw something in one of her trees out in the backyard. Like half the tree died overnight. And in that, she saw that somebody close in the family was going to die. And it turned out to be her own son. And then her sister, Aunt Nanny, is that her sister? Or is that her aunt? It may be her aunt. I gotta think right. She had dreams about running water. And when she did, that was a premonition that something was going to happen. So, as you can see, there's all kinds of interesting things. You know what? I might not glue this to this yellow. I have something back here. I changed my mind. Because I think I would like to have a little bit of an outline sticking out. So let's try something else. I've had these, and I have not been using them for very much. They're a black two-tone wood grain. And I might not see much of the wood grain, but that's okay. I'll be using some of them, right? I was going to use some of them in my Halloween journals, but as you can see, I haven't hardly used any of them. So we're going to pull that one out, and we're going to see what we can do with it. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? I mean, I'll be able to see some of the wood grain around it, and although there's not like a lot of black or anything in it, I think it'll be fine. There is a dark shadow in some of the pieces. Now, I do want to go around the outside edge first with this so I can cut that yellow down. But anyway, Mom was telling me the other day, when she was just a little girl, it was like maybe one of the first places, it was like the holler up where she was born. They were all the kids were in the bed. It was her two oldest siblings. She was in the middle of the bed. And then her youngest brother was off to the side. Now, see, I got to get back in there because I think the glue stick didn't do a very good job. And I didn't get that part with the wet glue. So we'll do that in a second. So, yeah, she's laying there in bed. And she didn't quite understand what she saw. And she said, Mom and Dad was over in the next room sleeping. I had Sonny and Sis on the one side of me and Jobo on the other. But then I looked up and I saw Mom and Dad and Sonny and Sis standing side by side right beside the bed. And she said, I started scoping my head around because I'm looking at, my sister and brother laying in the bed, and I'm looking at Mom and Dad across the hall. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing them right above me, standing and staring down at me. She says, I never to this day have figured that out, because I thought she was going to tell me another ghost story. She has two that she's told me over time, but she didn't know exactly what that was. It wasn't exactly a ghost story, because these people wouldn't die for, years to come. And I think I need to glue a little bit more right there. This whole side didn't get glued very well, did it? That's the one thing you have to look out for with a glue stick. If you're worried about it not gluing well, go around the outside edge with some kind of other glue. And yeah. But see, that's all it usually takes is a little bit. This whole side, I did not actually cover completely with the glue, the wet glue here when I was doing it. So that's why it didn't have that good an adherence. I was just going back and forth, and I must have missed it. All right, I think we're good. All right, so like I said, I'm going to use my fabric tack now for this part because of the metal pieces. And I think I can just go here and put the other one on the other side. And I won't be wasting much of this black at all, to tell you the truth. It's a little on the thicker side. Now, you can put a little bit of your fingernail polish remover in here, because that's like an acetone, and it will thin this up. So if it gets too thick and gooey on you, you could do that and thin it down just a bit. So we're going to do it like this, and then I'm going to put this down. And always try to put the lid back on your glue. Just set it on there, just so the air can't get in, because that glue, it dries up really fast. So I'm going to put this right up here at the top and give myself that little bit of an edge. I can see that that brad leg sticking out from under there, but I don't think we're going to be too bad off. And then you want to be pressing. You want to make sure when you, because I glue my spines in with this. When I have, like that piece that we painted over there with the matte gel medium, that's what I'll put on the back of that piece. Let me see if I can pick it up. After I've sewn in all my signatures along here, that's what I'll use here. And it covers the threads that I've sewn in here and all the corners. And then I put it down in my book and make it secure. That's already dry, actually. Okay, so I might have to move that over just a little bit. Yeah. See, you can still move that just a tad. I was able to slide that over to where it was flush and parallel with that edge. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down, and I'm going to keep pressing on these two until they're down for good. So I will be back. Let me get all my glue on here first. I will be back after I've got them secure and done. It's going to take a couple minutes of me mashing on them and making sure all the edges are down and that sort of thing before they'll be ready. But yeah, I shall return. All right, so you tell me what you think that was. I told Mom I thought it was a premonition. Now, like I said, these people weren't going to be passing for a long time in the future. So I'm not exactly sure if that's what it was. But I thought that was kind of different. It's interesting. I don't know what made her see what she saw. She says, I wasn't dreaming. So, but you never know. But what was that trying to tell her? It was just odd. I think if she was in a dream, she wouldn't have thought about looking over into the room and seeing her mom and dad and looking around and seeing her sister and brother beside her. I don't really know. She thought that was... She liked the idea that she could see things like Aunt Nanny and them. I said, well, I mean, I've been told that you will see and feel things through your life. And sometimes you just don't know that that's what it is because you've not, paid attention to it before. You just think it's a thought or a memory or something like that. And I said, I've had times when I thought, well, I don't want to drive today because I had a thought I was going to be in a car wreck or something. So, but it may bring your attention to being more careful, and then it doesn't happen. So, I don't know. It's some strange things like that. Now, I'm going to try and cut the... Can I do it? I think that... the brad is in my way. But I think I'm going to just nip the corners. I don't want the corner to be that sharp, so I'm just going to nip it. Okay, that works. And there we go. Now I'm going to glue these down. And debating on what to use. I may still use the fabric tack. And then I've got these for the corners, and I need to get them out of the package and everything. I have a few pieces here that was left over from the Craftly Haul stuff. So I've saved that for the front cover. I had this little piece. I don't know that I'm going to use that on the outside. That may just go on the inside somewhere. So that and the approved and declined, I don't know. We'll check on that. So let's see the cover. So we have this that is going to go one on one end and one on the other. So we have one that's going to go here and one that's going to go there. And we have enough room for our little piece to slide in. Most of this is going to be glued up in here. So let's just go ahead and use our fabric tack. Since I've got a wrinkled edge and it's also coated, that's where I'm not so sure that my art, or Bearly Arts, is going to do. I'm wiping my nose off because it had a big goo glob on there. All right, so let's see what we can do here. Where the brads are at, definitely, and just a tad below is going to get the glue. Okay, come on. All right, now, sometimes you got to get the work down. So I'm going to just glue this little bunch right there. And then glue this bunch. Here's my brads there. So I'm going to have a nice large surface for it to glue down and adhere. All right. So we're going to just put it over here and we're going to eyeball it. Is that about the middle? That's about the middle. Because I was making sure I had enough, the same amount on one side to the other. If they're not on the same, wavelength, that's okay. Because they're not on the same side, If you wanted, you could, like, after you've glued this other side down, put the two ends together and kind of eyeball it and see. We'll do that, and I'll show you what I'm meaning. Because you've got a little bit of time to move this, remember. A little bit of time. And then let me get a little bit here. Okay. I don't like that. But see, it's already dried. Some of this dries so fast. That's why you want to make sure that cap stays on there. All right, I'm about this far from the edge. Okay, now what I was thinking to do is you're going to put it together like that, corner to corner, and see. And this side needs to move up just a little bit. Just a little bit like that. And then I'm going to make sure that they dry down good and solid, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the Craftly Haul CPI 374, and this side is wider than that side, so this is going to be the front. I'm hoping this also takes your eye away from the crookedness of my brads there. Oh, anyhow, so I'm using my Bearly Arts glue on here. And just going to let it go down. I'm going paper on paper here, so we're good to go. That's why I didn't go with another type of glue. Paper on paper. It works very well with the Bearly Arts. It's when I'm needing more tooth, or it's got some kind of a surface situation, or along those lines, where you need to think if that type of glue is going to work the best for you. Okay, so I've got that down. I don't know that I'm going to go with anything else on the cover. I really like it to be just as is. So these could go on the inside somewhere. I saved a lot of the Craftly Haul words and things like that. I'm still needing to go through, and I have that little piece as well. That, see, I've already got that same wording kind of there, so I don't really need that. That's just extra. So when I get on the inside, I can decorate a little bit more with that kind of stuff if I need to. So now we're going to put this away because we have another glue to introduce. And that is for putting down these guys. And I've got a Q-tip to do, because this is going to be the last thing. Before I glue that down, let me show you the part that I'm going with here. And I tried this in here, and it's a really nice snug fit. So this will go in here like this. You'll fold it shut. And then you can actually put them both in at the same time. You can start sliding in one, and then slide in the other, and then kind of wiggle it. Wiggle it. There we go. So it will look like that. And it will hold the book shut. I've still got to put my pockets in. I just have to remember. Now, since I didn't have any brad showing inside, I can make any type of pocket that I need to have the two items fit. Because, where is it? Let me find it. It's in here somewhere. So I have this little guy. So this is going to go back in here somehow. And I've got to figure out, I'll probably make a gusseted pocket out of that one piece that I showed you. This one here with the paper. And I'll make a gusseted pocket where I'm going to be going around and making a little piece go to the back side and underneath and on the left side or right side. And that is going to give me a little bit of extra room in there because it's got a little bit of bulk to it. Now see, there's another piece that didn't get glued down all the way. You have to watch the glue sticks. Now there was one glue stick, and I haven't gone down there to get me any more at Michael's. But it was called T-Bow or something along that line. It's T-Bow, close enough. But it worked really good. I loved it. I need to get some more of that. And when I do, I will introduce it to you and let you see it. I just haven't gone out much lately. Yeah, not much at all. I seem to be running out of time for a lot of things. And, yeah. Yeah. All right. It is what it is, though, right, everybody? Okay. We have this one to use, the Collage Medium. Now, this is Tim Holtz, baby. It is a distressed collage medium. You can get it in matte, and I think you can get it in gloss, maybe. It's translucent. It's a gel medium, like I used on the outside of here. And this, as he says, it's got a drying time of 0 because basically once you put it down, it's done. But it's an idea for gluing, layering, and sealing. I see a lot of people put it and dab it on things that they're trying to get. They use it on their paper dolls a lot to give you, it's that, the paper dolls are that slick, shiny surface, like the gloss photographs. And he's saying that you can use that and dab it on with your finger, and it will have a, it will have like a more of a textured design, especially if you're wanting to go and see, this is a little wetter down in here. That's more dry. But it'll give you enough texture to put on some color to your paper dolls, like a lot of people like to do. Now, I need to put enough on here that it's going to adhere. So I think this might be the right amount. I'm using up that little dried up part right there. There we go. And it's another thing that you don't want to leave open too much, so you could put that on there. Now let's put this on this upper corner. I'm going to use my tweezers. And see, it's already coming through. Let me get my paper towels over here. My gooey paper towels, and see what we can do. Let me just rip a piece off and dab at it. And I think if I dab at it, it will flatten it. I don't use it much for gluing things down, to tell you the truth. I have used it to do covers with, but that's about it. I don't much use it for anything, but it's going to be translucent. So as you can see, where it is wet and white, you won't see that after it glues and dries. It's going to, you know, just be invisible. So we'll just keep going with our different corners. But this kind of goes with the brad, so I'm not so sad about the choice that I used on the brad colors. So, and this has a really great hold as well. I mean, you're going to pay a little bit to get these. Now, it comes in a little bottle, and then it comes in, like, you can squirt it, and then it comes in this, which I think I found I got more usage out of the little tub. So that's going to go in here, and then I'm going to dab at it and get any excess that looks like it's trying to come out. And you can put something heavy on here if you want it to have a really good adhesion, but this is pretty flat. If your item is already pretty flat, you're good to go. I don't think you have to worry as much. So let me put the last two on, and then I hope my explanation of glues and things that I use was helpful to you, because you know, everybody has their preference. I mean, a lot of people like art glitter glue, and I did get it and try it. There was a sale on it, and I went and got it, and I did like it. I just didn't think, you know, it didn't. I don't like that it was so quick to dry. You know, I sometimes need a little wiggle room. I do need it. So that's what happened. I went back to my Bearly Arts because it does give me a little bit of wiggle room. And I needed that little extra. So that's what you got to think about. And now you could get a little bottle of art glitter glue and see if it does what you want it to do. You can see if it's too fast, or, you know, experiment doing a card or something and seeing if that's what will get the job done for you. I'm tossing that Q-tip. It's not going to be useful for anything. And then I'm going to put this right on this corner. Oops. All right. See, I got a little bit extra sticking out there. But this is a good glue. It really is. I mean, I know some of the Tim Holtz designers only use this. This is the one and only. Especially Marley. I watch her a lot because she does some cool designs. And there we go. So this is what it looks like on my cover. And then, as you have seen, here is the strap that'll go in it. There could be something on the inside in here. Who knows? I might even put something like that on the inside. I'm still debating. But you can see how you've got a little bit of play because we did the 3 different score lines. And then we have this piece over here, which, like I said, is already dried. So let me get this paper out of the way. And yeah, you can see it kind of, you see a little bit of the brush strokes, but if you don't like that, you can do different type of brush strokes. But I'm going to have signatures on here. So this part is going on the center inside. And I'm so hoping, I didn't test it, but I'm so hoping that it will fit. Let me see if I can do this without knocking those off. Oh my gosh, no. No. I made it too big. So what I'm going to have to do is cut off one side, and then I'll ink I'll ink both of the sides. Yeah, I did cut it down, thinking I cut it enough, but I didn't recheck it. You know, that's me. All right. Well, I really want to thank you for coming today. I hope you got to see a few different adhesions and glues and such that you were able to get sort of a description of that you would want to use and that kind of thing. I didn't even go into the score tapes because I figure they're a whole different ball game, you know. So there we go. I hope you liked it. All of my subscribers and viewers, I want to thank you for coming. I don't even think I thanked you at the beginning. I'm so sorry. But everyone have a great, great day. And everybody take care. Be healthy. Be happy. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.